Well, my name's Phoebe Shecter. I play for Great Britain despite my very odd accent. And I play contact. So obviously I play for the GB women. I play for Birmingham Lions contact and then a men's team up north called Staffordshire Surge. And then in regards to flag, again, I'm able to play for GB women. And there's a London team called London Rebels that I join in with and play with them. And then I guess bigger picture in regard to my coaching, I coach for our GB under 19s and I was coaching for the Buffalo Bills out in the States, and I now live and breathe the UK Dukes, which is kind of London based, but I mean we go everywhere.
So actually, I know this guy. He's saying big up Stallions and Surge because I actually played for Staffordshire Stallions and a couple of the Surge players as well. So I know John Wise. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I actually played against him a couple of years ago at our old boys, and he's definitely well into his 40s, and he was actually killing all of us.
Yeah. He's still. I mean, he's still playing.
Yeah, I don't get how he does it. He's not like a young man, and one of my old coaches, he actually played with him when they played for like PA Knights, and he said like even then he wasn't. I think he was like in his late 30s. He said even then, obviously he didn't have like the speed and stuff, but because of his knowledge, just running circles around everyone.
That's the thing, and I think sometimes, and especially as you kind of get older in the game, you could definitely rely on that football IQ to carry you ahead of some of these younger, perhaps faster players that you go against.
Alright, so do you want to tell us how you got involved in American football then?
Yeah, sure. So about 7 years ago, I moved over to the UK. Previously, so I'm from Connecticut. No one knows where that is. So basically, it's just outside of New York. And I have always worked with horses and then moved over here to work for a guy on the Dutch Olympic team with 3-day eventing, and was really just looking for a way to meet people, kind of get a bit of American culture. And that's how I came upon just a Facebook ad for a women's football team up in Manchester. And yeah, that was kind of the start of the journey for me, really.
It's like you said, you're American, so you're obviously very aware of like American football and so on. So what was your first impressions of British football then?
Well, so that's kind of the awkward thing there is actually I probably my whole existence maybe watched 2 Super Bowls. I am the worst American ever. I hate to admit it, but I just never could get into the sport. I thought it was too start and stop. I just didn't understand really any of it. And also I think when you work with horses, it's like a 24/7 job. So you don't really have time for anything else. How did you get involved in it?
One of my coaches came down to my school and started playing that way, and then from there just carried on from there because it's like a 6-week kind of program, and then from there just carried on playing. But like, speaking of horses, one of my friends, he works with horses and he plays on my team as well.
No.
And like you hardly see him at the training or something, or like if you do see him at training, you see him with like some muddy boots or something, and you're like, oh, where you come from? He's like, oh, just at work, had to like fix a gate, or like there's a horse doing something crazy, something silly like that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. You're just like on call 24/7 basically.
So I've seen you play like a lot of linebacker and stuff. So what made you pick that position?
Well, when I first started playing, I think because people think I'm American. Well, people think I'm American. I am American. But they think that I can throw a football. That is the biggest lie ever. I've gotten better at it, definitely over time. So when I first started, they put me in at quarterback, which I could manage, but it was not pretty by any means. And eventually, a much better quarterback came along, who's been our GB quarterback for 6 years now. And essentially, it was a matter of you either have to find a new position or you're going to not make the GB team. So luckily for me, I had quite an affinity with contact anyways, even as a quarterback. So linebacker just became this really like natural next step for me. And since then, even if I had no idea what I was doing, it was find ball, see ball, hit. So really made it.
It sounds similar to my situation. So when I first started playing, because I've got like a decent height and speed, they said, oh, you can play receiver, but I didn't want to believe it, but I can't catch. So I'd be running routes and stuff. I just dropped the ball. So when I went to where we did like a first ever like proper scrimmage, my coach was like, "Yeah, you're gonna play D end." I was like, "What do you mean? I'm meant to catch TDs and stuff."
Yeah.
So in the end, it worked out for me, but so I'm not complaining.
It's cool how you move, though.
Yeah, so I didn't complain. I said I actually still talk with him all the time. I coach with him, and I said to him, I think you actually like saved my life because if I carried on playing receiver, American football would be terrible for me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, over here, there are definitely some throws that some of these QBs make that you just want to like close your eyes and just like, oh, sorry, receiver.
So you're talking about getting into GB and stuff. So what made you want to take football serious enough to apply for that?
To be honest, it was really when I started for the women's game. I think there were 3 teams in the UK that were playing: Hertfordshire, Southampton, and Portsmouth, and they were trying to do this like top-down approach really for the women's game. So starting GB and then essentially hoping that anybody who became a part of it would go off and start their own club teams, which to be fair to them, that's pretty much exactly what happened. So it was really quite a natural next step. Got involved in the GB program, and we were playing 5s back then as our first international game down at Hertfordshire. And luckily, we built our way up and obviously got to playing 11s. But it was never something I ever thought I'd be able to do. It was never something that I'd ever had interest in, playing a contact sport in general. So I think there were so many exciting things, and it just kind of kept happening. And you're like, all right, I'm playing for GB. Okay, we're going to go play Sweden. We're here and we're doing that. And these opportunities kept presenting themselves. And it's like, gosh, okay, yeah, I'm on this for the long haul. Let's go.
So how do you feel about like your national ranking? Because last time I checked, you were top 5 in the world, weren't you?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
I think it's been a bit of a rough journey for us, and sometimes we've had a great one. We did really well in the Euros in 2016. We came second, so we lost to Finland. They were by far the better team then, but actually, we got out to the Worlds in Canada. We lost to Mexico. You're playing 3 games on the road, and I think then our last game was actually home, and that was the Euros in Leeds, and I just think we should have won the whole thing. We definitely had the ability and the talent, but I just think that things go wrong, and it's not just one thing that goes wrong. In one game we should have gone for an extra 2 points. We should have done this, and all these things add up, especially in a tournament. So it's a bit bittersweet, but yeah, I think it also means going forwards for the next Worlds. Actually, there's a lot of promise, and we need to just build ourselves back up again.
Yeah, because I just actually saw you lot play for the Leeds, and you lot actually have like pretty good players, especially I don't remember what her name is. Like your running back.
Yeah,
she's amazing. But do you know what I think is really funny is I know one of my friends. He says when they watch any of the GB games, they play drinking game based on you. So that whenever they hear your name, they take a shot.
No.
I said by the end of every game, all of them are wasted. So
I'm on.
I think you're doing a lot.
Defense, special teams. I watched some of those films back. I was just walking back up to kick off again. I'm like, oh man, I'll be there in a second. Showing my age.
So now I'm going to put you on the spot. Let's say, so you got GB women's versus GB men's. Who do you think will take it?
Ooh, so you know what? It's tough, right? Because I would say technically, probably GB women would take GB men's. But at the end of the day, I think when it comes to actual size, you just can't compete with like the testosterone that a man has. They're naturally bigger, faster, stronger. Some of our girls play on men's teams and they will put you on your butt, but I think at the end of the day, GB men have to be the ones that would win that just because of their actual natural size. But I think we'll outsmart them.
So someone's actually asked here.
All these guys calling me up, hating on me now,
That's why I said let you answer. I didn't say anything, so you can take all the heat. Someone's actually said here. So for the women's team, how do you lot build such a strong bond?
So this has been a really kind of long coming thing, and I think part of it has definitely been my experience with teams in the States. seeing how they do it. And, we have these camps, so we try and, do as much bonding activities as possible. When we're in our tournament camps, we're still trying to build up those relationships. So having, quiz nights and literally learning about each other. We've done ones where, we all kind of sit in a circle and every other person has to rotate, because you think about how many people are on an American football team, and, you're looking at 47 at like around there. Plus now you're covering Scotland through to Southampton. There's no way you get enough time. And most people on defense don't know offense. So you really have to like actively try and improve that kind of relationship with everyone. And you naturally will get your little groups within the team in terms of positional groups, but we try and encourage, even at meals, to sit with different people, keeping on top of different conversations, having workout groups across the country, so you've got someone you can look to. And then we have positional leads as well. So every positional group has a girl that they can go to if they need anything, who will try and then, create some activity for their group to do as well.
Like a social sec.
Literally. Yeah, exactly. So no drinking.
Because I was listening to, so I don't know if you know them, the X's and O's, listen to their podcast. This was a while ago, and they had some of your teammates on FMGB, and they were saying how you lot even communicating with like other teams. I think they said you lot talked with everyone, you lot are like really friendly, apart from when you went to go meet, I think it was the Swedish team, and they're just like, nah, we don't want to chat to you.
Finnish, yeah, Finland. I think, we always want to present ourselves really well, and we want to make sure that we're shaking hands, we're always being really cordial, no matter what country we're in. That's who we are as a team. We'll definitely be incredibly nice, even on and off the field, but between the whistles is when it really matters for us. And I think our rivalry with Finland has been such an ongoing thing. So, they kicked our butts the first time by a lot. And then we beat them the past 2 times. And I think it's also got a bit to do with Finland, like Finland as people. I think the way that they present themselves comes off as very like militant and don't want anything to do with us, even though that might not be who they really are. When you're in the same building as another team, you're basically next door to another team for a week straight, and they're your biggest rivals. It kind of gets the girls fired up. So it's exciting. We're still nice to everyone, but no, you want to have that competitive nature, so you can get on that field and let it all go.
Yeah, so someone actually asked, does it stay on the pitch, or do you like get into little battles off of it? Or are you just very nice?
No, I think.
Oh, so you're not nice.
If I personally hit you on the pitch, I am going to still be the one that picks you right up. Even if I'm the one that laid you out, I'm still going to like give you my hand to like pick you up afterwards. But I think something that's so special about the women's game, and this literally covers the entire globe, is we may be on different teams, we may be battling each other, but actually when we all come together, we are like one big happy family, because we're doing such a unique sport. So you're already, a minority in that sense. And I think we just really appreciate the relationships that are built just from being across the globe and sharing these experiences together.
So
you went on the pitch then.
I get described as just like a really nice guy, because even like if I hit someone, I just smile and like just help them up. Or so I don't really ever get mad. So my teammates really find it weird. Yeah. So like I can go and like, let's say I make a tackle or whatever, I just smile and like wave or just walk off. Or like there'll be like a big argument, just like, all right, mate, see you later.
Yeah. There's no need to get involved, isn't it?
Nah.
Like, we're doing what we love. Why would you be mad about it? This is fantastic.
Plus, I don't really talk that much as well, so it doesn't make it as bad for me. It's like some of my teammates, they may not do anything like really bad, but because they've been talking so much during the whole match, it'll turn into like something else afterwards. But I don't have that kind of problem.
And you'll always have those teammates, ones that, when they see red, they see red. And we've got a couple of those, and, you have to manage them, and they know how to manage themselves a little bit to a certain extent, but you just got to pull them back in. And I guess that's part of your job as being a leader, and maybe even being a quiet one, being able to like observe and see what's going on and then rein it all back in.
So talking about being a leader, you've gone to Buffalo to become a coach. How did that all come about for you?
Ooh, so basically, in short, there's something called the Bill Walsh Diversity Fellowship, which is an opportunity for minorities to apply. And you choose 5 teams, and you hope that you get picked, essentially. And this was kind of all off the back of a women's career forum that the NFL have been putting on for, I think, 4 years now. So essentially, this forum, they will have all these incredible, whether it's owners or GMs or referees that are involved within the NFL, and they give you a really open and honest insight into what it's like in their lives. And you get to network, and it's just really incredible. And a woman by the name of Samantha Rappaport has been putting it on for all these years. She's head of diversity and inclusion for the NFL. And so I applied. I'd met Kim Bagula, who is one of the owners of the Bills, and just been chatting. It had come down between the Falcons and the Bills. So I'd been speaking with the one of the GMs of the Falcons, and they had just come off the back of their Super Bowl appearance the year before. And, it literally, I'd had my last, his name's Scott Pioli, and luckily he's one of my mentors, so I feel very fortunate that he hasn't gotten mad at me and left me after all this. But I remember I left a meeting with Scott and got an email to call Coach McDermott of the Bills. And he said, "Oh, have you been speaking with any other teams?" And I wanted to be really transparent. And I said, "Yes, I've been speaking with the Falcons and all of that." And he goes, "All right, well, tell Scott Pioli, say thanks, but you're going to be a Bill now." And that was it. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is my team." It was amazing. So, yeah, that was it. Went to training camp, was with DBs my first year, came back to training camp, and then was with tight ends, which is obviously the whole other side of the ball. And
A lot bigger as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was tiny compared to these guys.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So I've actually met you before. You're not very, I wouldn't say, so you're probably about average size for a woman. So,
ish.
I think average is 5'3", so you're not doing too bad. I've met NFL players.
Above average.
And NFL players are massive. So did you ever feel intimidated or anything due to their size?
You know what? You just get used to it. It's mad. I mean, especially with the tight ends, they're probably on average 6'7", 6'6". So they're big guys. They're really big, and they just become like your big brothers. You kind of get used to being around tall people all the time, especially when I'm so short. To be fair, there's a couple of players that are my height that are maybe 7 kilos more than me. I mean, and I love that, because you look at all these NFL guys and you think there's so many people that have been told they're too small to play in the NFL, and they're not. It's just maybe, we need to find a different role for you. But we've got a lot of those little nippy gadget players that play that kind of slot receiver who are not much bigger than me. So I love them because they're able to show to the world, you can overcome anything like that. When you're a baller, you're a baller.
Yeah.
But no, and I think when you're around huge people like that, when you're around all these incredible athletic feats that happen every day in practice, you're like, "Oh yeah, he just did this crazy triple twisting one-handed grab." You're like, "Nah, that's normal." Just another day of practice.
So whenever any of them gave you hugs or shake your hands, did it ever hurt? Because I've met Ray Lewis. He shook my hand, just like a light shake for him. I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that ever again in my life."
No, he's mega, man. But it's actually the other way around. Because I'm a girl, people think that I'm going to have this weedy little handshake. And there is nothing I hate more than a weak handshake. So I am right in there, shake the hands, real firm grip. And they're like, okay. And I love the gym anyway. So I'm yeah, dead hench. So it's class.
So walk me through a typical day over in the NFL.
Oh man. Okay, so I'll start you bright and early. I'll take you through the whole experience. I was living with one of the athletic trainers, so we would drive in, get to facilities about 5:15. And then if I had time, I would try and get a 30-minute workout in if I could. Otherwise, you just pretty much get to your desk, get everything sorted, because we would have an offensive meeting about 6:45. So I needed to make sure everything was lined up for that time. Just like an offensive staff, have our meeting. Then we would try and sneak 15 minutes to the tight ends. Then we'd have a team meeting about 7:30, where like literally all the players and everyone come in together. From there, we would then have offensive meeting. We'd have special teams meeting. You'd go, if you were working with the scout team players, you try and get like 10 minutes in with them to let them know, they basically, scout team guys are pretending to be whoever you're playing that week. But it's not just your scout team guy. These guys work so hard to learn the player that they're going to be. So if you're going to be Stephon Gilmore, you better know how he moves, what he does, how he looks, how he fakes things, so that we give our guys the best look. Walkthroughs at 10:30. After walkthroughs, guys get a snack. We make sure we've got everything ready for practice. I grab a snack as well, very important. Get back out. We go to practice. Practice is 2 hours, and that flies by. My role is then to run inside, get all of our practice scripts, get a grading sheet printed out, because basically I get that all laid out for our coaches. So our offensive staff, we watch the practice film that's just happened and eat lunch at the same time. And then that brings us back to offensive meeting, where we go over practice. We break into our positionals. Then we're at special team meeting. And then we're pretty much done with that about 5. And then we have a staff meeting, usually about 5:30. And then you're now prepping for the team that you're playing, in terms of, are we working on red zone, third down, first and second down. So each day is assigned a different part of the of football to break down. And then I'd say on average, probably like 11:30, you're there till at night. And then you go home.
That is ridiculous.
And breathe.
Wow. I knew NFL was like a lot of work, but I didn't think it was like that kind of crazy. But saying that, did you ever feel like you were like out of your depth, like it was a bit too much for you?
I would say, so my first training camp was a huge step for me, right? I've really only been involved in Brit ball. I've been on one internship for 2 weeks, and that was pretty much like the most I'd ever advanced myself in terms of knowledge. So that first training camp, I was probably like a deer in the headlights for most of it. I didn't even know the terminology that people were using. So because I couldn't understand what they were saying, I couldn't even ask a question, if that makes sense. And then the speed at practice. I remember one practice they had, you have like 1s, 2s, and 3s. So we had 3s in the middle, 1s on one side, 2s on the other side. So you could go 1s against 3s, turn around, 2s against 3s. So I'm running back and forth. I'm in the middle of the drill. But that would probably be the main time I felt, I guess, out of my depth in that sense. But all that did is it actually fueled me to find ways to excel. So I made my own glossary. I sat in on different meetings so I could understand what people were saying and what they wanted from me and how I could be helpful to them. And that was pretty much the most of it. I think when you're around players like that who are incredible at what they do, and they've been practicing this for most of their lives, I think my thoughts more so were almost like that imposter syndrome. Like, they know so much more than me. How am I going to teach them anything? And it wasn't until probably I was there for the full season that I really started to understand my role within the team, but also value what it is that I bring to a team. And it takes a while. It doesn't just come to you, but now I understand what all that is.
So it sounds like like a lot happened there. You had like a finding yourself moment while you're over there. You learned like quite a lot.
Definitely, and I think when you're around people that are people, these ideas, like, you can't help but want to be better, not just for yourself. You want to be better for your teammates, and that's what being in Buffalo did for me. I was like, how can I be a better person to help those around me? How can I be of use and be the best version of myself that I could possibly be?
So, if you were to compare an NFL session to a typical Britball session, what would you say is the main differences you would see?
Speed, absolutely. Speed, not of the players, speed of the practice, the efficiency of the way that a practice is run. It's much more efficient in the NFL, and it doesn't have to do with the fact that you have more staff. It is like a sense of urgency coming from the head coach all the way down, and that's something the UK Dukes, Kenny and myself, we go around and we try and talk to people about how can we help you with what you're doing in a practice? How can we help you to take advantage of the time of the people you have there, because you've got such limited time, not just in Britball, but in the NFL, and they manage to make it as efficient as possible. And that's probably the biggest thing that we hold back. And I'm sure you'll know that, just from being at a practice, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of standing around.
Just standing, yeah. I was going to say,
Yeah.
you just stand around and just like, oh, what are we going to do next?
Yeah, exactly. There is none of that. I mean, you have, I think of our individuals, right? So let's say tight ends, we've got 6 guys. We have 20 minutes in total, and that is split into 10 minutes. So we might have 8 minutes to be actually working on fundamentals with the guys. Then we've got a little transition period to get them into a run skelly. Well, half my guys need to get up to a pass, have to get up and catch some footballs from Josh. So how are we gonna be efficient? Okay, let's do 5 minutes with the O line, and let's do 5 minutes down there with receivers. And that's not saying you're gonna get reps every time, because you've also got how many other people to work with. So you just have to think differently and be creative with your time.
So someone actually asked here, what would you say was your most rewarding moment out there?
Ooh, that's a very good question. My most rewarding moment. I'll be honest, when we won, I don't know if rewarding is the word, but when we won against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, that was the most incredible experience, because it was our first win of the season. We had a game plan and we actually followed through with it. And that's the one where Josh hurdled over one of the players, and it's this crazy photo. But to see all that hard work and all that time and dedication that everyone's putting in, and to go into the locker room. So I sit in the box during the games and transcribe our plays, and then you run down into the locker room afterwards, and to be in there for the speech from Coach McDermott, to feel the energy in the room. I mean, I've never experienced anything like that. Like, if you could bottle up that sense of euphoria and sell it to people, I mean, it would be priceless.
So just so anyone who's not aware, she's talking about Josh Allen, the QB for the Bills. Actually, got a question here. What would you say was your toughest moment while you were over there?
Ooh, well, the season I was there was not a great season in terms of our win-loss record. But, I think you have your own conversations with yourself. So there would be times where you're putting in all this work and you feel like you're not getting anywhere. And I think it sometimes can make you doubt what you're doing personally, and thinking, how can I be better? What can I do to help get us better? And I felt sometimes a bit helpless, because my football knowledge has greatly improved, but actually I'm not Rob Boris, who's our tight ends coach. I'm not a NFL, been in the league 14 years and coach. So I can give extra time to the guys, but I didn't feel like I really could give that extra little bit. I'm working on it, but I'm just not at their level yet.
Yeah, that's understandable, because, like you said, you haven't had experience of all the other guys. But this also leads me into my important question. I'm sure everyone wants to know, how much free stuff did you get while you were over there?
I mean, I live so much. Honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy because you get stuff for training camp, you get stuff during the season. Buffalo is freezing, so you need to make sure that you've got all your all your stash to keep you warm on the field. Then you travel to Miami, so you need to make sure you got hot stuff. So, I mean, and sneakers, different months or different themes. Obviously, you've got like cancer awareness. That you've also got obviously like military
Veterans Day.
So all of that stash. I've been trying to give it away to as many people as possible. Just share the love. Everyone's a Bills fan now, but it's class because they have the labels in your clothes because you do laundry there and everything. So everyone now probably has like my clothing. It says Phoebe Shecter Buffalo Bills. I'm sorry.
So actually, just someone actually asked what I was going to say. So now you've got all this free merch. Would you say you're now a Bills fan?
Yeah, I started off, I'm from Connecticut is part of New England. So for me, the natural team to say I liked were the Patriots. But two things to that. One, when you're part of a team, there's no way you can't be a fan of them because you see these guys day in, day out, and they're all just like your big brothers, and you want to support them and you want them to be successful. Plus, when the Patriots are in your division and you have to play them twice, like when you go to Foxborough, they do not make your life easy. So I'm like, oh man, how can anyone be a fan of this team? They're making my life challenging, literally. The box in Foxborough for the coaches is at the entire top of the stadium. And, I'm sure anyways, I had like a handle on the wall to pull myself up onto this box so I could stand. And then I had to have a box on top of it so I could see over everything. And at halftime, when you run back down to get to the guys, we literally had to run down through the crowd of people, through the concession stand, 9 of us coaches,
yeah, that's
through
crazy.
all these Patriots fans who were like, oh man, it was like they do everything to try and make your life just a little bit difficult. Whose team do you support?
I'm a Ravens fan, so it's not that bad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the season you said you were there, you had what was it, Vontae Davis that retired after the first preseason game.
Yeah, Ravens was our first. We played Ravens our first game, but that was before like Lamar was even Lamar. But, yeah, we're skipping the Vontae Davis one. Next.
All right, so going back to the British game, for any women that are watching this or may watch this, why would you tell them to get involved in American football?
You know what, the way that the sport empowers you, the confidence that it gives you, and then the family social element of it is life-changing. There's no way before I moved to the UK that I would have ever been half the person that I am if it wasn't for the sport of American football. And that's as straight as it gets because it has made me feel like I can do anything. You get this. I love talking to all these women who play the sport and their moms, their doctors, their police, whatever. After they play American football, it's like they like walk around like, yeah, I'll play American football. I mean, but it's awesome, like not many sports can empower a human like that.
Yeah, a lot of my friends do that as well.
Yeah.
So actually, that's funny you say that about empowering people. So before I played American football, I was like, I wouldn't say I probably was very shy and like very, very quiet. So I wouldn't really talk much. But once I started playing, obviously, like you said, you got really big squads. You have to learn to meet a lot of new people. You're around them like a lot. You have to trust that they got your back and so on. So from there, it's actually kind of helped me come out of my shell. So I see that I learn other people as well.
Definitely. It's class. It is. And you all have to, learning how to work with that many different people from such diverse backgrounds, it's incredible. An American football team is like, it's like its own country because you've got people coming from everywhere. But, even if you are playing with people from another country, everyone speaks the same language of American football. And that's incredible.
So when like you were saying, empowering people, would you say recommend those women to start off as players, or like you said, jumping at the deep end, like similar to like you and going to coaching, but obviously not as far as the NFL?
I think that, I mean, they can definitely achieve the NFL. I just think that, when you play the sport, it does help you just fall in love with it at first. I think it's hard, unless you're a really like tactically minded person. I mean, American football essentially is aggressive chess played with humans, right? So unless you're kind of that way inclined, actually playing the sport, especially the flag version, which you guys play, um, that's like a great way to get involved. It's quick, it's fast, you can get the nuances of the sport. But I think once you fall in love with it, and we find this even with, if we're delivering to teachers, we need to get them to play the sport to really share that energy with other people.
Funny you say that, because we're going to play one of the schools that we coach at. And well, we're not hopefully, we're definitely going to go and beat them, but we won't tell them that.
That's all right, I'm down with that.
So obviously, you're trying to promote the game now in England. How would you try and promote it to women?
I think, depending on I guess no matter what group you're reaching, if people see people that look like them doing something, they feel like they can do it. So, whether it's getting people down to watch the women's game, and that's flag or contact, reaching out to different groups, schools, things like that, just ways to kind of entice people to come down. And I think once they meet you, and being really friendly definitely helps. The amount of times I've been in a gym and I'm like, you should definitely come play American football. It has nothing to do with how strong and hench you are, but you should totally come down.
So that's actually the CEO there. He's saying we're going to kill the other school. But speaking of what you say, the people like getting I like people to play with you. So we've actually got a girl that plays contact on our team, and she's probably more aggressive than half of the guys there. Like she goes and bullies all of them. I have to tell her sometimes to like relax. They can't take it. But even speaking of which, so like we've started like our own version of flag football. So cagedy.
Okay.
And so for that, we try to promote it more for like to get more females involved. So what we try and do is, so if you score a touchdown, unless there's a female involved, you only get a 1 point conversion. If there is a female involved, now you've got 2 points. So now it's not even just like the kids. Some of the coaches will bring down like their little cousin or little sister and try and get involved. So that's how we're trying to push it out and get all around there.
That's awesome. That's a great way to do it.
The Shinig's saying you should come down as well. You can come and get involved, but I'm not promising you'll probably win. We've got some really quick. I think one of the kids runs like a 4-3 or 4-4 or something crazy like that.
Oh yeah, so definitely. I'm not about the speed. I'm short distance.
Yeah, but we'd love to like have you and Kenny come down. Actually, do you know what's really funny? He definitely will remember me. I actually played with Kenny my first year in senior, but I came halfway through the season because I was in uni. Plus, I was very, very bad back then.
Yeah.
Played receiver. No, he played receiver. I played the end. I think there was like one time in practice, they started trying to kill Kenny in Oklahoma, and I think I almost injured him then. And then after that, I could never catch him. He's too quick.
Well, that's just it. That's his technique. He is not an Oklahoma contact kind of guy.
Nah.
He's like, I'll just use my speed. I'm like, you have to do the drill to use your speed.
I remember we were playing, I think it was like Sussex Thunder. Every catch I just see, you just do that, catch the ball, he's gone.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, he's mega for that. He's still the same way. He's out there. He's trying to play offense, defense, whatever it may be, but he loves flag, and we've played contact together, but yeah, he's not trying to be hit.
Actually, thinking about it, he did coach one of our kids at school. Jaden, he coached him, and he's a pretty good receiver. But speaking of contact, I almost forgot. You said you played for Surge, so that's a men's team.
Yeah.
What made you want to join them?
So I did my level 2 qualification for coaching, and then met someone on the course with me, was a coach for them. Like, just come down. John Wise was coaching there as well. Yeah. So I went down and started as a coach. And to be honest, ended up having a conversation with the guys. They kept saying, you should really play. Our women's season goes to about April. So I was going to have a period of time where I had no football. And I just thought, actually, I'll ask the guys, what do you think about this? And they're like, yeah, no, come on board. Like, we'd love to have you. And it was mad. Like, I got involved. I remember my first game, I had butterflies. Like, it was an exciting energy, but it was definitely butterflies because I didn't know what it was like to go against full grown men, essentially, from another team. It was fine against my own guys. But I remember I had my first hit. They have this like big old 300-pound running back, or that's probably too much, 250. And I was like, you know what, this is it. Like this, it's just like any normal game. The second you get that first hit, you're like, okay, I got this. So I moved out. So I moved more to outside backer and then safety a bit more. But kickoff, all of that, I loved it. It was just awesome. Became one of the captains. Got MVP. I was like, this is sick. It's like having a bunch of brothers around you. It's awesome.
So obviously, like I said before, you're pretty well known in Britball. So would you say those guys are more scared of you than you were of them?
Oh yeah, they'll tell you that now though, because you know what, my problem is I am 0 or 100 when I'm playing. I don't have an in between, so we'll go in a drill and I am on you full speed. Like I'm not afraid to hit somebody, and they're not afraid to hit me, which makes it even better. So no, they know exactly what it's like. I still go down there now when the season starts back up again. So yeah, it's class. Like, and that's how you get better, right? Iron sharpens iron. I'm not gonna go soft on anybody, just like they're not gonna go soft on me. I chose to be in this situation. That is my risk that I've decided on.
That's great. So this has been amazing. I just want to thank you again for this interview. I hope anyone who's watching it has learned a lot, including like the women and so on. Like I said before, you and Kenny are more than welcome to come down. Obviously, we won't promise to take it easy on you. We'll see how that goes.
Careful, we're the ones that won't take it easy.
But before we go, do you want to tell everyone about UK Jukes and where we can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. UK Jukes, we are just trying to grow the game of American football outside the US, essentially. So you can follow us on any social media. It's all at the UK Jukes. We have a schools program that we're trying to get more people involved at and growing from the grassroots up. We do camps, clinics, and we've got some exciting things coming up as well. So yeah, shoot us a message if you need anything football related. We will try and direct you to the appropriate people.
Great. Thank you. Hope to see you soon in the cage once this is all done.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'll see you later.
Enjoy your evening. See you later.
You too.